Yo, what's happening, everybody? It is Drew, and it has been like almost a year since my last video, and I could tell you some things about why it's been so long, but that would take longer than we have. Um, Suffice it to say, life has been pretty busy and has had a lot of curveballs, so this has been real low on my list of things to do. But as you can tell from my background space, still in the same room that I was in before with all the other videos. We just repainted and we're kind of turning this part into an office. Don't worry, it is still part studio. There's still a lot of musical instruments and other fun stuff around the corner, but this part's going to be beige and boring. And that's the part you're going to see today, because today's today for a video. So today, we're going to talk about volume spread analysis, or VSA. If you're not familiar with the concept, I'm just going to introduce it to you lightly. We're going to look at some examples. I'm going to talk about how I kind of use this in my day-to-day trading, and hopefully you'll get some ideas if you're not familiar. So let's pivot over. All right, guys. So volume spread analysis. What is it? We're going to cover the basics of how volume spread analysis works. We're going to talk a little bit about how to read volume spread, what you can do with that information. So you can use it for reversals, pullbacks, confirmations, continuations. And we're going to talk a little bit about divergences, because that's we're looking for confirmations and divergences, or confluence and divergence. So we're going to talk through that a little bit. Convergence and divergence. And then we're going to talk a little bit about narrative building as well. So that's what we're going through today. So let's just start with the basics of what volume spread analysis is. It is pretty straightforward. Essentially, the goal here is that we are looking at candles, the price candle, and the volume at the same time. And we're looking for the volume and the price to do the same thing. So in other words, if we have a big candle, we expect to see large volume. If we have a small candle, we expect to see small volume. That helps us confirm what we're seeing. When we don't see those two things match up, it is called divergence, and we are going to talk a little bit about what that is. But ultimately, we are looking for large candles. You can see here in my terribly crude examples of custom graphics, mind you. I didn't just go to Google and look it up. I made my own, that's right. So you can see here on the left-hand side, we have an agree or convergence side. Essentially, what we expect to see, if there is a large price candle, we expect to see a large volume candle. That means that the price is doing what we expect it to do. And if we have a small candle, we do not expect to see a lot of volume. So whenever we see a difference in that, and you can see over here under the disagree or divergent side of things, if we see a low volume but a big candle, or conversely, a small candle with high volume, that indicates to us that something may be about to get a little interesting. So we're going to do some reading here together. I have got, now for those of you who have watched my other videos, you'll notice I've completely changed my setup. I used to be strictly a Thinkorswim guy. Since the Schwab acquisition. I still have Thinkorswim. I still have an IRA there. I do not do much trading there, but I've moved most of my day trading and other analysis into TradingView, and that's what we're going to be looking at here today. So we are, in this case, using TradingView's replay. So I didn't pick a special day. I just sort of randomly grabbed a day, and but we're gonna go through that kind of bar by bar. And we're going to look for and then talk about volume spread events as they occur. So I've got us here, whatever day it is, May 1st, I think. I don't remember anything about it. So this is, as far as I'm concerned, a fresh chart. But we're going to go through, we're right at the open here, right at 8:30. So we're going to, as is tradition, I think you guys, anybody that's paid attention know I don't pay attention to the first couple of candles. During the open, I like to let the volatility play out to find out what the market is thinking. So we're going to let the first couple of these go through. Now you can see you know, from a volume spread perspective, I'm interested in the fact that a large volume event just happened. Now it's the open, so we're going to keep on moving, but we are looking for volume events like this, and then we are trying to interpret what is happening with the price action when we see those events. So let's move a couple of bars in here. I'm on the 1 minute chart. So we're watching up real close here right now. So we're going to kind of let this play out. You can see that it's very volatile. It's all over the place. There's a lot of volume as all the queued up orders are playing out in the market. And but you can see that the overall volume trend now is starting to calm down a little bit. And as we are cooling off, you can see that the price is starting to head up. So I'm starting to kind of watch to see if we get a break of the opening range here. So you can see that we're coming up to the top of the range. And we're still kind of waiting for interesting volume events. Now you can see that we had kind of our first pronounced, and it's not super pronounced because we're just coming past the open, but you can see that we just had our first larger volume event on a relatively short candle. So let's look to see if that turns into anything interesting. And it is trying to go up, but the volume tapered off again. So again, nothing here yet that I am looking to respond to. And see here, we're still kind of waiting for something interesting to happen. You can see we had a larger spread candle there with lower volume. Again, nothing that I'm going to react to yet, but this is kind of what I'm doing as I look through the volume spread analysis. And we're kind of meandering here, sticking within the range of the open so far, coming back down to the lower range. You can see that the volume's picking up again a little bit here. And let's see what happens next. All right, so we finally broke the opening range here. And we have a little bit of a shadow and not much pronouncement on the volume. All right, now we have an interesting event. So now we've got a fairly wide spread with a long upper tail and on increasing volume. So now I'm going to start to watch to see whether something confirms or rejects with volume here. So you can see that we had an increase on volume with a large upper wick, which is a rejection, right? So price tried to go up and got pushed back down. There was an increase on volume in that. And then following that is a lower wick with an even higher volume. So as we're kind of looking at this, we see two large candles on increasing volume with the last candle indicating an upward movement. So this indicates that buyers are entering the market right about here. So I'm looking for confirmation still, but my expectation would be that the price will start to move up from here. We can see there's another hammer, another doji up there with no increasing volume. Another doji, and we're just kind of lingering here so far, but there we go. So now we're starting to move up. We've cleared that initial candle. We're starting to, we're coming up to the top of that wick of that first higher volume candle there. And again, we have increasing volume with higher volume, or I'm sorry, increasing price with higher volume. So this would be confirmation from a VSA perspective that we are in fact starting to see buyers enter the market. Let's see if we continue to move up or not. Balanced out. We're just going to kind of click through here a little bit. And you can see that some more volume entered here, again with the larger spread, and we're coming up, and we have at this point broken the top of those wicks, just barely. So I'm still kind of waiting to see whether we're going to make our way up or not. And there we go. There's the confirmation. So again, increasing volume. That's not exactly a huge candle, but you can see that we're now starting to come up and test the top of the opening range. So it's not exactly a huge move yet, but this is still the way that we interpret this information. So now you can see that our volume was starting to taper off a little bit, but then we got an increase, another push. We're right at the very top of that range. So let's look to see if we break that range. That could indicate, and there we go. So we just popped the range, and again on increasing volume. So on increasing volume here, showing us a move up, and then again increasing volume, breaking that range and coming up. So at the very minimum, you can see that I've got a bar up here indicating a significant level of some sort. So very possible that we would, bounce out here, but we can see that clearly the volume is indicating a move up, and it is on purpose with volume and buyers entering the market. Now you can see that we've got a little bit of increase in volume here as we pull back. Nothing significant though, so we're still expecting continuation on the way up. Okay, and there we go. So, and again, increasing volume and movement in the same direction, right? So we're reading that volume and that spread. Basically, like, we're not seeing anything to indicate that the market is changing directions, right? So we're just getting confirmation that the move up is valid. So you can see that the price is continuing to go up. No significant volume events yet changing anything about the read. And we're just kind of melting a little bit here, but, you know, every now and then taking a step up. And we're just waiting for our next significant volume event, right? So essentially, you know, I'm expecting it to go up until I see something that indicates otherwise. So clicking through. And all right, did you guys see that one? See, we got a big candle here with a topping wick. Now, it is technically a large amount of volume on a widespread candle. It does, however, have that topping wick, right? Which means a move up, and then there was, you know, maybe a block order, or some sellers waiting up here. Somebody with a stop, perhaps, or somebody entering short. Either way, right? Significant volume event without a move up. Right, so now we have the divergence that we were talking about, right? A significant volume event up with a spread that is indicating down. Now we have that divergence, so now we're starting to expect something interesting to happen. So let's see if we continue to go up, or if that is the mark of a reversal. All right, so it looks like, yep, there it goes. So the market is, that was in fact the reversal, right? So we had that significant volume event right there. And now we're starting to fade back a bit. Now we could come down, test this area, and bounce back up again. But, right, that is a marker there. And that volume spread analysis gave us some indication that the market may be heading, about to do something other than continue in the direction that it was. And so you can see that we did, in fact, fall below that trend line. And yeah, we had a pretty nice pullback there, right? Pullback or reversal, one way or the other. So again, though, if we take a look, we see a wide candle here with a good amount of spread, so that indicates that this is a move that is intentional. We also broke this this small pivot here. Again, it's on the 1 minute chart, so it's not like a real significant level, right? But there may have been some stops below that level. See what happens here. Comes back and, yep, continues down a little bit more. So you can see again that we had another significant bar down here. Not significant, but another widespread bar here on high volume. It was, however, countered by a bar that pierced the upper side of that. Right now, not on higher volume, but we may want to keep an eye on this, right? Because this is a push down and then a bounce back up on lower volume. So it could, in fact, continue down, but we're going to start to keep an eye on this in case that is, in fact, gets read as a divergence. Now, understand that on a higher time frame, this is going to show up as a lower tail, right? So this really could indicate that some buyers were present here. I mean, it does indicate that some buyers are present here, but just remember, right, we're on a lower time frame. Now, VSA is fractal, which means it works on all time frames. So I'm using a 1 minute chart here so we can have some examples, but it works on the 5 minute, the 1 hour, the 1 day, the 1 week. You can use this skill set on any time frame. All right, so now you can see what happened there, right? Another volume event on a high spread candle. And now the market structure is starting to shift. We had a low, and that's kind of the new low. So we'll see if that continues to hold here and if we bounce back out of this. But you can see that we maybe are starting to see a little bit of a market shift supported by that volume, that spread. All right, and kind of consolidating here a little bit, waiting for another significant volume event. And there is another significant volume event. So there you can see that the volume is increasing and the price is increasing, and we have a high volume candle here that matches the price movement above it. And see if we're going to break that trend line or not. All right, you can see now that the volume is starting to push down a little bit, but we still haven't broken our structure. This is still the low here at the moment. See if that breaks or if it does, in fact, continue up. And we're starting to head into the afternoon session. And there you can see another volume event. Now, it's not exactly a huge candle, but you can see that we broke that structure and we're still coming into that significant price point. And let's see here. All right, there was another significant volume event. Now again, we came up here and we're kind of hitting this top here, and we have that top that top wick there and a relatively low spread candle, which again could be divergent. So that could indicate a reversal, maybe just a little indecision. It'll depend here kind of what the next couple of candles say. But right, this we want to take notice because clearly something happened. Important to remember that that volume is what's telling the story, not the price. And here we may just, I don't know, I mean, market close is coming up here. We're in the kind of final half hour, power hour. See what happens. All right, so you can see what happened there, right? Significant volume event with the significant down candle. And I'm sort of starting to anticipate that we're going to close out on the low side, and there it is. And yep, you can see what's going on there, right? So we're heading into the close here and a drop. But right, again, that spread is telling the story and the volume is telling the story about what the market is doing and what the buyers or sellers are doing behind the scenes. So let's head back over here. So that's how I use the volume spread analysis and what I'm looking for. Now, importantly, don't just use this, right? You're using this in confluence with other indicators in the market, right? Whether you use trend lines or you're looking at, significant price levels, Fibonacci's, whatever it is that you're interested in. Use all that information to tell your story, right? So let's talk about how to maybe integrate this into your stories. So the volume is information, right? Price can lie to you. And that's why we're looking for those divergences. When there's a big price movement, but not a lot of volume, that means that that is not the market convinced or convicted on making that move. So you need to be suspicious. That's the whole idea behind the theory here, right? Read that volume because the volume is telling you what's happening, right? The price doesn't, the volume does. When the significant volume events occur, take note. Remember that we as retail traders, we're dinner, right? The market is set up against us. It's rigged against us. So don't just blindly follow it, right? Remember that we are trying to be tricked. We're trying to have our emotions manipulated. So it's important for you to remember that your job there is to read the market signals, not, randomly guess at stuff. And use that confluence that I mentioned earlier, right? Integrate all the other things that you already use in your daily trading, right? If you have an edge already, this is just another tool that you can add into it. And I think a couple videos ago, and I know it's been like a while, but we talked about confluence models, right? That idea of aggregating information and collecting information to help sharpen and improve your edge. This is just another thing that you can add in, right? So that when you're doing whatever it is that you do today, you can use this volume reading technique in order to help look for additional strength for your thesis. That is the entire thing, I think. Yeah, so yeah, I hope this has been helpful. Go try it out if you feel like it. You don't have to, but appreciate you sticking through. I'm going to try and get some more videos out here before too long. And I will try to get the office and the video presentation here with a little bit higher quality here. But in the meantime, thanks for swinging by. I will see you guys on the next one. Cheers, gang.